Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mike King, coming to you from high above Henrico, talking to the best and the brightest. We got the man in the building, number one sponsor, always a great guy to roll with. He said I roped him into my cabal. I think that was a good one. I did like that, sir. My man Will Melton, AI Ready, RVA. You got a number of monikers. You know, you are. I just call you Big Willie. I mean, that's what it turns into. So tell folks who you are, what you do.
So I do a lot of things, but my paying day job is Exponent 21. I started that about 11 years ago, and we are a digital marketing firm, and I now describe us as an innovation company because we're building a ton of technology to help people level up in the AI age.
You are, and you pivoted the company a number of times. So before then, you were a tech company. Then you became the Richmond Water guy, and then AI Ready. And even with AI Ready, I've seen a pivot there. And with Exponent 21, you are the guy who's like taking your company, really putting AI on the forefront of what's happening in the city.
Yes, that's a symptom of my brain at work. I have a million ideas, and fortunately, enough energy and time to pursue some of them. And so I have, with Richmond Water, it was a really sort of a deep-seated pain associated with hating plastic. I don't know. It was a really strange thing to emerge, but it was at the same time that ChatGPT hit the App Store. And so I had downloaded ChatGPT in January of 2023, at the same time that I was working with an intern to build up the Richmond Water brand. And if it hadn't been for ChatGPT, I probably wouldn't have figured the whole thing out. Now, it didn't work out the way that I'd hoped, but at the end, what we're doing is important work, and I'm happy with what we've been able to do.
So what I always talk to people about is being in the right room and being at the right time. So you were into the AI space,
Mhm.
and then you make a connection that really takes this thing to the next level.
Yeah, yeah. So I've been on the board at Chamber RVA on and off now twice. So I was on the executive committee when I was the marketing chair, and then a year off, and then back on. But one of the things the chamber does every year is they take a trip up to DC to meet with our elected officials at the federal level, both the House and the Senate, and um, they organize a room in the bottom of the Capitol building, and each one comes in one at a time. Sometimes Mark Warner and Senator Tim Kaine will be in the room at the same time because they play off of each other. They're good friends, and that was the case in this particular day. But that day, Mark Warner came in the room. He had just met with Sam Altman that morning. He had two other AI meetings that morning, and he was animated. He was concerned, excited, but concerned that this fast-moving technology was going to disrupt society, and that if we didn't think about policy now, we were going to get behind on the whole thing. And so we came back to Richmond. A couple of folks from the executive committee said something there, and we just organized a phone call at 8:30 in the morning or maybe it was 8 o'clock in the morning every 2 weeks on a Tuesday or Thursday. We kept that going long enough to assemble a group of folks who were passionate and said, "Hey, let's turn this into a nonprofit." So it was, we built the brand out of Exponent 21, but it was not ours. It was the communities.
It was a collaboration,
Yes.
and you found like-minded people. You
Oh my
did.
gosh,
You
yes.
found some
A
like-minded
lot of
people.
people, a lot of people showed up. We had, in the very beginning, we had some of the top leaders in the region on these calls, and while they were too busy to sustain it, we found some folks that were mid-level, mid-career folks who really have a lot of drive and passion and knowledge, and see right in front of them. They're using AI at work. They're charged with implementing AI, and Fortune 500 companies here in the region. They want to figure out how to give back. They see their friends being displaced from jobs, so they're trying to figure out how we can upskill people and make sure that they have a pathway to the new career force, whatever that looks like.
On the mic with Mike here with Will Melton. On the mic, Mike will be right back in just a second. Step away. You believe people still go to the wrong office?
Hmm?
They go to the old studio.
Oh, I almost did that today.
Alrighty, let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Mike King, got my man Will Melton here. So we're here talking AI, business in general, but also there's a Code Black that's coming up. It is wealth management. It is on Thursday and Friday. Friday will be Juneteenth. Will Melton is the featured speaker talking about AI. Sir, what can people expect?
So I think everybody who goes into business, maybe they don't realize how much the deck is stacked against them, but it is. You don't go into casino expecting to beat the house, you know.
No, you don't.
But when you go into business, you expect to succeed. You expect to win. But when you go into business, you find out how much of a roller coaster it really is. And so, I think that the name of the game in business is to beat the house. And it's not easy to do, but AI is absolutely the playing field leveler that businesses need to beat the house. We have to beat the odds. We have to survive another day, another week, another month, another year. And it's a weird time in business. Things are changing very fast. What we used to be able to rely on for revenue might not be there anymore because AI might be doing that for somebody that you used to do as a professional. And so those are threats to business, and those things need to be mitigated. But there's also a ton of opportunity out there. And so I'll be talking about the opportunity aspect of it, how businesses can leverage AI as a force multiplier.
People are now they're afraid of what they're saying. What it's going to do is displacing things, but there's opportunity. So when I asked you about AI, about me, and you had said, "Hey, put it in there," it showed it showed that I was one of the top business personalities in the area. And then I started posting that. Don't you know? Maybe a week or so, a person came to me and said, "How do you know? Is that factual?" How's it factual? People are scared of the content, thinking that it's gonna take over society,
Mhm.
take over business. My position is, if you know it won't take over what you do, it can't replace you being in the room making deals. It can support what you do. And I see that's what you're doing all the time, working with people, having them understand the power and possibility.
Well, here's the thing. We can either sit still and look around and hope that the fortune is going to come our way, or we can go out there and do something about it. And I think the thing about business people, I don't think I'm going to have an audience that is not receptive to this message because business people have learned that no matter what the environment is, you go out and you make things happen. It
Yes.
doesn't matter what the tax rate is, it doesn't matter who the president is. It might matter if we're in a recession, but that means you change the way that you operate so that you can continue to operate. And so there's not a business person out there that shouldn't be picking up AI and playing with it and learning how to use it. I'm not going to teach people how to do anything on Code Black. I'm going to tell them what they can do, and I'm going to tell them that they need to go figure out how to do it themselves because they don't need a guide. They don't need me to tell them how to do it because AI will do that for them. They just need to know that they can do something with AI and that leveraging that tool to save that critical time that they shouldn't be spending, doing the non-productive thing that they feel like they need to do, take that time back and put it towards something that matters. And like you said, be a person in the room. I always tell people presence is a platform and you got to leverage that. You got to use it. You can't just be a quiet person in the corner. So I think what AI is doing for us, and we haven't yet realized it on the whole, is it's giving us the opportunity to spend more time with people where it really matters. And we're learning how to be better communicators. And here's one thing I'll say: we're learning as we use AI that when we put a half-baked prompt in, we're going to get sometimes some crap out of it. We're going to get some things that don't necessarily doesn't meet our need in the moment. So we have to refine our prompt. We have to give it more information, more context. I think that process of learning that we need to be more um, contextual, we need to share more with other people is also going to emerge. And I think we're going to find we have better relationships with one another as a result.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Will Melton, the featured speaker for Code Black Wealth Management Financial Summit on Friday, Juneteenth. We'd like to thank you, sir. It is always a pleasure. How can people reach you for the things that you do?
Best way to get me is on LinkedIn. Just search Will Melton. Also, subscribe to everything I'm cooking at channelrva.com. That's the central hub of all of my media and creativity.
Really quickly, explain Channel RVA. I see. So we get the message every morning, 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Tell the people exactly what that is.
Yeah, so the newsletter is just one small part of everything that Channel RVA is. So we've all seen what's happened to traditional media.
Yes.
It's transformed. I think some forms of media have certainly sustained better than others. Print obviously is a struggle, but just the news business as a whole has really changed. And I feel like it doesn't have to be the forever story that news can make it. I think news can make it, but news has to find a way to create value in people's lives. And so I'm not the producer of a lot of news. We do some news, but we're an aggregator. So we pull from other sources. We tell people what the headlines are. We let them go and read more about it from whoever published that story to begin with. But beyond the news, it's about connecting Richmond to Richmond. So we have original creators that are doing podcasts and videos, and we have writer contributors who are putting content on our platform, or we're pulling their content into our platform so that Richmonders have one place to go to find out where to eat, what to listen to, what events to go to, what's happening in Richmond to make your life as a Richmonder more rich. And we have everything from murals to games to the list goes on. We're building all kinds of stuff into it to really make it the connectivity and the interactivity of the content rich.
So I always tell people, I got a crew, and I got a diverse crew. And then I look at yours, I'm like, you are right there. You have a crew of people that you're with. It's varied, it's diverse. Talk about the power of the people.
Well, I'll tell you honestly, the reason why I have it is partly because I'm not afraid to talk to people, but really it's because of Richmond Water. When I started Richmond Water, one of the things that the charge was to make people change the way that they hydrate. And so I had to make them fall in love with our brand, but I had to make all of Richmond fall in love with our brand. And all of Richmond does not look like me. And so when we started doing the work, I found out just how precious water is, the way that people respond, the way they get defensive about the health and where's the water come from, and just a lot of really interesting conversations. But I was welcomed into a lot of different corners of Richmond that I would say I didn't belong, but I just wouldn't have found myself otherwise. And I was welcomed, and I am welcomed, and that's a true gift because I can feel comfortable in just about any corner of the city. So, but I've recognized that Richmond's a creative place, and so it doesn't matter what the community looks like, doesn't matter how much money they've got. There's creative people all over the city who are working to make things happen, and those are the people that I want to surround myself with.
There you go. Will Melton, he's the best out there. On the Mike ESPN Richmond. Make sure you go online, take a look, get your ticket for Code Black. It is going to be the place to be. On the Mike